mental disorders. And through this discussion of mental disorders and negative connotations and people hiding their disorder and violence that comes out of that, all of these unusual collisions to the role of mental disorders and corruption, global corruption. Where this will lead, I don't know, but I want to know. And so who did this? Who's responsible for this genius? Come on up here. It's incredible. So, as you're sharing these ideas with the world and helping us crystallize, what is your call to action? Where did this conversation resonate? And what are we going to do about it? Who do you need to help you move this forward? And there's the web. So we have people from all around the world just watching us right here. What help do you need? This is your chance to ask an active audience, I need this. This needs to be done. We haven't thought about this yet. So go for it.
Hello.
Hello. Can you say hello, world?
So anyway, this was kind of just brainstorming. That's kind of why we left it on the table. It kind of led to a bunch. I think a lot of us picked different paths that we went with our groups because when we brainstormed on this, like I went towards my group. We went towards suicide because of the discussion on mental disorders and sometimes like not and into that kind of category. I don't know what these two went into. But this was kind of the groups that we put with in the beginning with the based on your birthplace thing. So, I don't know what's involved in it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So it wasn't really one big problem that was a huge call to action. Corruption's a big issue. That was one of the big ones. So it was kind of a lot of different small problems that all connected together to form a lot of problems.
And if you weren't, so this is why this morning was so powerful. Connections wouldn't have been made like this or at this scale if groups that weren't passionate about the same things worked together. If only we said, anybody that's passionate about preventing suicide, you go in a group. We would have never looked at the lens of global corruption or vulnerability or any of these other what seemed like disconnected fabrics and pieces. This morning was critical not to find your group, but to explore these disconnections and find a connection. So as these themes pop up in the afternoon, when people are sharing, we won't be able to share all the heartbreak math, but I want to see convicted people up here selling and recruiting. This is what I want to do. This is the angle I want to take. Join me in this fight. Justin is going to tell you before we leave for lunch what areas there are of individuals that may be working in that area, and you can think about which path you want to take. So let's say you were intrigued by this connection. There's also a group very active on preventing suicide, and you can join them, or you can join this group here and look at things from a global lens, which might lead into connecting with your group on the role of vulnerability in our ability to work and operate globally. So this is messy, but unless you know and unless you're thinking in all these different lenses, you're going to come to the table ready to do work that no one else has done because they have not made random connections like these. So thank you very much for demonstrating what is We are going to leave because there's a lot of us. We want to make sure that every voice gets heard. But I know that we're hungry, and that matters too. So I want to share 2 or 3 heartbreak maps of a group that is ready to come up here and ready to do this work. And then we want to leave the live streaming open all through the lunch hour so that you can sort of get more guts over peanut butter sandwich or whatever healthy thing that you're eating. And then come back up here and do this. The audience is waiting for you. There's no... All right, so let's demonstrate with a couple groups, and then we'll keep this going. And everybody can get a chance to share, and we'll be capturing. Okay, come on up, guys. And right here. Right here. Right here. Front and center. Awesome. All right.
Can you guys hear me? Fun fact, I've never used a microphone.
Put it a little bit up, like right
Yes,
here.
like
Yeah,
that?
perfect. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is saying hello, audience and stuff. So this looks like a giant vomit of marker ink onto a piece of paper. We'll get to that in a second. I think it's important to talk about, to address Eric's concern as to why does this matter. I'm not scared right now. I'm not anxious so much. I am kind of drained, which is, it's not some weird reaction to anxiety. It's a symptom, and it's a symptom of something that's a bit greater than I completely understand. And one of the best things that helps me with it, whatever you want to call it, you know, we call it DSM-5, call it unhappiness. For some reason, sometimes I don't think I'm capable of being happy. And the best thing that helped me with that was animals. And working with animals, working with anything, any animal is just sitting outside someone's house. I will be that creep that goes up to your house and pets your dog while you're asleep. That's not amazing. All right, girl, don't tell me this. I'm watching you, camera. But it's, for some reason, there's this beauty in a being that knows nothing more than if you put effort into a relationship with them, they will love you and they will trust you. And I feel like humans aren't always that predictable. But that idea of that connection, no matter what you look like, no matter how creepy you are at night, which happens. Excuse me. But that connection was something that ultimately, you could call it saved my life. I don't know, but there's something deep there. And I wanted to explore that. And during my travels throughout this wonderful rock that we call Earth, I've met a lot of people who are assault victims. Through whatever means, I've met a lot of them. And something that they all have in common is a need for trust and a need for contact. Most of them are terrified of human contact. They don't want to be touched. And we have to respect that because sometimes it's a trigger of something that's much deeper, and something that's potentially dangerous. So connecting that idea to an animal that has trouble with human interaction because of previous abuse, they're both in need of something that the other can provide. There's a perfect connection there. So many things that humans need can be found in the animals that are underprivileged. Animals in need are a force that we should use for our advantage. So what we did was we connected the idea of abused humans and abused animals and made some sort of super idea in which animals can receive the socialization, the care that they need, the trust, built by people who are in need as well. So like the homeless. The homeless need something to occupy their minds. A lot of times they're struggling with mental disorders and substance abuse that we have written here. That can be assisted by having something that will identify them as a being that can help them no matter what the circumstances. So this idea of a blind organism that doesn't notice anything about you except that you care about them, animal, gives an advantage of a living, breathing thing that cares about them, to homeless and people who are in need. So that idea is basically the basis of what this is. And we stress the importance of the psychological connection in both animal and human needs and bringing that together. So a lot of this has to do with therapy, like therapy through animals, doing that kind of stuff.
You don't have to get up right now, but are you intrigued enough to even say, I may join them in this fight? I had something similar, or our heartbreak is similar. I will fight with them. And once we know who that group is, we will fight to connect you. One of the things after I heard their heartbreak, Overstock.com that takes basically underprivileged clothes that have been tossed away by people, clothes that are still good, and shoes, and matches them with people who might need them. They have now committed, their CEO is now publicly committed to do that with animals. Animals that have been tossed away or weren't able to be cared for as they ran out of food. They have committed to using their technology, their platform, and their brand to making that connection. So Overstock.com, we're coming for you. We're talking to you. We're going to try to find out what we can do to make this happen at mass scale. So if in any way, shape, or form, any part of this resonates, this is a story to join. Thank you, ladies. And
so as we develop ideas like this, I just want to have everyone keep in mind, first of all, there are other groups in this school working on similar things. And that's what this is part of. We hope now, and during lunch, you will talk to each other. Say, you're working on that, we're doing something really similar, let's get together. Whatever comes out of this, there are people all around the world doing similar things. And anybody starting any venture, the first thing you should do is find out who is addressing this problem, find out what they're doing. Maybe you join with them, maybe you just learn from them. It would be foolish not to try and learn from other people. As somebody once said, learn from the mistakes of others, because you'll never live long enough to make all the mistakes yourself. And I love with this group, for instance, I know I love horse racing. One of the biggest problems you have in horse racing is with other sports is the animals are tired, and they're not always well taken care of afterwards. Somebody came up with the idea of building a farm here at an upstate prison in New York and having the inmates take care of these retired horses for next to nothing, since the labor is free. The inmates see this as a great privilege. If you get in trouble in this prison, you can't take care of the horses. And they've had such great success with, improved behavior there, because people want to be out in the field with a horse rather than cooped up. So that's another great example of how that's being done. So, you should learn from what they did with your group, and there's probably 24 other stories you can learn from. The other point we want to make is, again, we have mentors lined up from here to Cincinnati to help you. Some people were talking about trying to tackle diabetes. Angela and I, 2 weeks ago, were with the Center for Innovation at the Mayo Clinic, which is the most prestigious medical facility in the entire United States.
They're waiting for your ideas. They're waiting for your
They were like eating with us telling them that we were going to be talking
They
to
were going to
15,
fly
14,
here,
and
but
16-year-olds.
it was too short of notice, because they're just like, we are always surrounded by this issue, and we need new insights, we need new perspectives. We're so busy tackling the diseases that are, we're not having time to innovate, and we need your ideas to tackle what.
The biggest solution to the healthcare crisis that we haven't begun to crack is stopping people from getting sick in the first place. Of course, there's a great number of diseases that are not avoidable, they're very unique, but there's a great number that are caused by behavior. And how do we address the behavior? And that in particular is something that I think teens can solve a lot better than adults. We know adults have dealt with it for 100 years. And so we really are trying to hear what you have to say.
Bring another group up. Go ahead.
So what group would like to come up next?
Oh my gosh, like how do I do that?
He was smart enough to stand up.
Yeah.
He's really eager.
Hi guys. So I would first like to introduce the group that I started and continued with. This is an amazing group of various things to work with. And I've only known one of them for any part of this year. The overarching issue that we tackled was discrimination, and I know that's a hugely broad topic. And so we ended up breaking it down, which even though this is upside down, backwards, inside out, every sort of which way, we broke down into a bunch of different sort of subsections, dealing with mental disorders, racism, opportunities based on ability and on who you are, misinformation, this stereotyping that's being brought on by the idea that people know when they don't. And what we ended up going down was mainly on this side. We ended up with sexism, gender roles, breaking down into women, the less paid, the lack of education. I know I'm saying that's because I'm nervous even though I'm public speaking and stuff like that. And I think the topic that I really feel needs to be addressed is the lack of education, because that's on here not twice but 3 times, and it's because people don't want to address something that's touchy. It's sort of, it's not a happy topic. People don't want to be wrong. They want to say, I know this, and I know this because I was taught this. And if you're not being taught the right way, then you're not able to act in the right way.
So anyone, raise your hand if you're thinking, I could join them. I could join them, I could fight for this, it's worth it. Right? Excellent. We will find a place for you. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. You're going to do great.
That's useless. It's these kids. Okay, so I first want to thank you for the opportunity today. I can tell you guys now that my friend Nelson and I, we were sitting on the bus this morning, we were like, screw this is stupid. And the group that we assembled, we came up with some pretty awesome ideas in my opinion, just saying. So first I want to share a little story. Actually first, hi Cassidy, that's my sister, she's at home watching it. Yeah, she's actually watching it. And the next, I don't know why. The next thing is give you guys my story a little bit. For the past 5 years, I've been suffering from anxiety. I've been recently diagnosed in the past 6 months, now medicated. Luckily, public speaking is one thing that actually calms me. To give you guys a little insight to what it feels like, there's some days where my parents think I'm physically sick, I'm throwing up because I can't get out of bed. I get anger sometimes just from not being able to do projects where, even if it's the most simple project, you just can't do it. It's your brain is telling you not to. My one friend, her graduation party, I was invited, so I drove to her house. I could not physically get out of the car because I had the invitation in hand because I did not think I was invited. I was nervous that I was not welcome. It's actually horrifying. Panic attacks, all that fun stuff. But I'm good. So let me tell you where we're going with this. This map, wherever it is, it's not beautiful at all. So I'm just going to talk to you guys about it a little bit. We started with mental illness because a lot of us suffer from it, especially in our group as well. We went from like anxiety, eating disorders, autism, and we realized that 20%, I believe Mr. Ruff knows this, 20% of the American population suffer from anxiety. And then we were thinking, okay, how can we make this more practical? And we were thinking about stress. And we were thinking, what's a synonym for stress? STEM. So we were then going to, like, how can we make this? And kind of like what Danielle's group, I don't know where they are, thought of, we just thought of puppies. Because who doesn't like puppies? They relieve stress. And from this, we actually created an idea of a mental wellness day, where it's an entire day devoted to just mental wellness. Regina will talk more about like what we actually want to do during that. But we're going to try to make it so like you guys leave your laptops at home and you don't do work, and it's just like right before finals or midterms. You guys just calm down and relax. Who wants to? Katie's good at this.
Since Stephen's talking on a scale that's a little bit smaller, like just within our school, For those people watching the live stream, it would probably be helpful to have some background on what he means by mental wellness day. Because for the past 2 years, or maybe 3, the schools have one day in the spring where we have health and wellness day or physical wellness day, which is about going outside and being active and say riding bikes or playing hacky sack with a group of people that you enjoy being around. And when we were talking about mental illness, which was a topic that I was kind of apprehensive to join a group for, I was worried that it was going to get really sad. We came up with this idea that kind of unbreaks my heart. And it's a really kind of awesome thing where it would be a day like how we do Health and Wellness Day, that you could come to school and it would be like you were coming for a field trip. You would just bring your lunch and maybe if you like to draw a sketchbook and pencil, and you would be able to go around and do various activities like listening to music or watching, a movie that you like, or you would try and bring in therapy animals so that you could interact with somebody who is judging you. And you might offer some kind of educational aspect as well, so that people who are interested in what it's like or what it means to have anxiety or depression or ADHD would be able to get information, but it wouldn't necessarily be mandatory. The only thing that you have to do would be all the stuff that strengthens you out at home.
Joining this group, how many intersections you can already feel the stories weave. And that's actually the fun part, is sort of deciding the breaking spots for those. So it might start out as a large group, which it probably will. So I'm seeing the same themes you are. There's a theme of education and the importance of education and awareness. There's a theme of mental health and wellness. There's a theme of globalness, of human rights and global rights. And it might start off there, and the stories will get tighter and tighter and tighter until you will find, it will come to you, what that right first action is. So thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story.
One of our goals for days like this is that you guys are actually not connected, participate in it as well, where you guys don't grade, you guys don't, because you guys are stressed out, we can see it on your face, don't lie. And so just like to give you guys a day off as well, because we all need it.
Thank you. If you want to share, we have a stop at 12 to go get lunch. This doesn't mean your voices stop. So we will sit here and listen to anybody and everybody until the last voice speaks. So it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings if you go get lunch. Oh, I guess you can't bring food back in here, right? I would be in big trouble, right? We can't bring food back in here, so we have to stay there. But what I am saying is for the next hour, we'll keep the live stream going, and whoever needs to come back up and say, well, you know what, I want to see, because this will be recorded as well. And part of our mission is sharing your stories with other people that we know, with other schools, with other groups. We've got 1 million kids working on this movement and mission, and we will have you leave with a level of some connection so that you can move your action forward. So we're doing this because the lunch ladies matter. They really matter, and they are working very hard, and they're going to have lunch ready for us at noon, and we want to honor that. So we'll get as many stories in before noon. I'm going to shut up, but let you go. Oh my gosh, there's so many. This is terrible.
You guys need help moving? I got this.
Thank you, guys. Go.
First things first, Eric, I'd actually really just like to commend you on what you said. That was very moving, and everyone should just give him a round of applause.
So
my least favorite quotes ever is Leviticus chapter 18, verse 22. Thou shalt not lie with mankind like they with womankind, for it is an abomination. You know, that quote really just doesn't sit well with me, personally, because I'm an advocate for marriage equality and gay rights. But that's not the real topic, as that's a very popular topic with most people. Our topic is actually not discrimination. We decided to talk about the interpretation of the Bible and how it's misused in today's society and culture. It's a very specific topic in regards to the Bible is something that is taken in a way, and I know I'm crossing a lot of social barriers here, but the Bible is taken in a way that is literal, and it shouldn't be. It's theology for a purpose. Theology is essentially theology. There's no better way to describe it. But personally, to me, I'm a practicing Roman Catholic. I have been for my entire life. I went to Catholic school for 8 years. Regardless, my personal belief is that the Bible is something to be cherished, not the reason for wars. Because how many of you in here can actually deny that the Bible doesn't start wars, doesn't start racism or hate? That's exactly what I thought. So let me just share a little story with you. I'm in first grade. I walk into my classroom in St. Louis James School down in Exton, and we sit down, and I sit down next to a kid named Robert. Yeah, he doesn't go here, but he now today is one of my best friends. And throughout the course of the year, we start learning about Genesis and the story of creation. It talks about how God created Earth God created Earth in a period of 7 days. Now, obviously, that's not taken to be literal, because that's scientifically impossible. But the point I'm trying to get at is, the Bible is something that we have to stop taking so literally. We have to stop taking every single religious value and text extremely literally. I personally don't associate myself with the quote I mentioned earlier from Leviticus, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, not the quote, but the message behind it. The Bible is something not to be taken literally. And I want to get that message out there because it's something that really just bothers me to the core. There is no one perfect and true text, or anything for that matter, that actually is 100% true. And to take it as such is, the word for it is slipping from my mind, but I'm not going to say ignorant, that's not the right word. It's a feeling of not believing in something else that's out there.
Can I say one thing? What's really important about the bravery of this topic is this is a divisive topic. So joining a story, joining this group, can also be initiated by different perspectives about this. So you can join a cause in a group because you believe in it, or you can be a part of a conversation because you so adamantly believe something different. And I think this is one of those topics that it isn't, I agree with you, so I'm joining you. I agree with you because I want to have a conversation with you, and the conversation that we can have with these views can move the topic forward. And that's with every one of these topics. But I think this is an example of a topic that draws a different call to action. So if this intrigued you, my friend and mentor Seth Godin says, stories, especially stories that make an impact, must disturb you. So if parts of what people say are like, God, that just pisses me off, or that's so wrong, or that is fire. That is what you need in a group like this. And so sometimes like-minded people passionate about a story aren't the best group. You want diversity. You want dissension. And collaboration requires dissension. It requires challenging one another. It's not just about cooperation. So I think this is a beautiful example and a great example of a new kind of group and a new call to action. So can you give them a hand?
Address the issue of religion and how it impacts the world today.
Absolutely.
We were just trying to address, not trying to offend anyone, obviously. We were just trying to address the negative aspects of taking things literally. That a serious nature towards everything isn't the best way to view life.
Fantastic. Thank you, thank you. Oh, sorry, you just want to say something. So sorry, go ahead.
Yes, along with my views, I'm Cameron. And you may be thinking to yourself that this might not be affecting you. Well, think of the people who are affected. The people who are being persecuted for these beliefs. Now, what this will cause is depression, anxiety. These disorders that you see are stem from these religious persecutions. Religion is not the sole purpose for this. It's because of society itself too, enforcing this. But religion is a big part of this. It's forcing people to stay down, stay in the dirt, stay in the dark. It's creating death. It's creating not just from war, it's creating it from our own thoughts. The brain is a powerful thing. It controls our emotions. And if the brain is powerful enough to create the world we see today, it's powerful enough to destroy it, to destroy the one you create in your mind.
Thank you. That right there is what you call conviction. That's what we need. Thank you, thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Emma. Am I coming through okay?
Yeah.
So my group decided that we wanted to talk about suicide because we feel like that's an issue that really needs to be addressed in general and particularly here at STEM. So I'd like to start off with 2 questions. First off, how many people here, and don't be afraid to be honest, it's okay, there's nothing wrong with it. How many people here personally know someone who either has or has attempted to commit suicide? How many people here know someone who, no, keep your hands raised. And now, if your hand is not, don't put your hands down, but how many people know someone here who knows someone who has committed suicide? Knows someone who knows someone? And how many people here, keep your hands raised if you're not already, is personally afraid that one of their friends is going to commit suicide? Don't put your hands down. Keep your hands up if they're already up. There's something wrong with this. This is too many hands, and that's my heartbreak. So we personally felt that the issue needs to be covered globally, obviously, but STEM might be a good place to start because this is a really high-stress environment. And I love this school. I would not trade it for the world. I'm so happy I had the opportunity to be here. But we have some issues. This is a really high-stress environment, and we have 700 some high-performing kids who, many of us are hyper-perfectionists. I've noticed that anxiety, depression, and other disorders are very common here. And it's very easy for us to feel lost in the crowd, to feel worthless and not special. It's already taken a life 2 years ago on March 14th, 2012. So why we're not doing something to prevent this, I cannot begin to wrap my mind around. So what we were talking about, what we think we should do is gather personal stories of people who either they themselves have attempted, their close friends. I myself have a best friend who I've known since I was a child. We grew up together. She shaped me into very much the person that I am today, and I don't know what I would be without her. And one day she turns to me and tells me that she was never born, so she wouldn't hurt anyone by taking her own life. And the fact that there are people, countless people who see that as the only way out, absolutely tortures me. So what we thought we could do is gather personal stories, starting here, starting with you, and we can take them to our principals and ask them if there's anything we can do about this, if we can start promoting information. So what we have listed here are warning signs of self-harm and suicide, different causes, self-harm, stress, external pressures such as parents, issues with parents, drugs, being LGBT+, and bullying. And then also we have depression listed here, but other mental disorders as well. So we would like to promote information about these things and warning signs of suicide and what we can do to prevent suicide. Maybe put posters up around the school, have an assembly, have speakers here who have actually been through and understand, rather than, we've all had those assemblies in middle school about bullying with the speakers who really have no idea what it's like to go through, what they're talking about. So an assembly, have speakers so children understand, not children, us, teenagers, so we can understand that there are other ways, and there's this stigma associated with suicide, with being, I've heard so many negative things said about people who attempted suicide. There was someone who was so broken that they could not see any way out but ending their own life, and someone's going to criticize them for that? That's just wrong. We need to end this stigma by talking about it. No one talks about it because they're afraid, oh, if they talk about it, it's glorification. People are going to do it, they see it as a way out. No. There's a way to do it, certainly, but being silent is not that way. So we collect these personal stories to convince administrators, and I don't think we have too much trouble convincing administrators here that we need this, as we tend to have very open-minded people, but in other places. So once we get this established here, we take it to East, we take it to West, we take it to Shanahan, the places around here, we can go in person and share our personal stories with them and convince them that their students need this. And there's absolutely no reason that this can't be taken on a wider scale. Once we get established in our area, we can take it to local news stations, tell them about the program, get it going as far as it can possibly go.
Thank you. Our break is going to get bigger. So you're going to need fuel and you're going to need food. And in a way, to just sort of let your minds be right now. I know it's really hard because these stories and these connections are being made, but really take this time to refuel because we're going to need that energy after lunch to get to work. So enjoy lunch. If you haven't been outside, get outside. Breathe in. Wait, we're going to tell you where to go after lunch. Just wait 1 second.
Hold on.
1 second.
You don't know what you're doing after lunch. Sit.
This morning you were in groups by birthday, and that's not a great way to create something you're passionate about. Angela has done this enough to find that a lot of your ideas revolve around central themes. So this afternoon we want you in, again, we're going to use the Stuco and the Noco. We're going to use those rooms to gather around central ideas or central themes about what breaks your heart. Once you get there and you start forming groups and you start thinking about causes and things that are really specific to you, you're welcome to break out of those areas. We have spots where you can go. I'm going to post this following stuff on the TVs in the hallways so you know, again, what these groups are and where you're going to go. Because I'm a STEM teacher, we're creating a Google Doc, because that's how things are done. Once I get that up and running, we're going to share the link with you. We're going to make it a tiny URL so it's way easier for you to type in. Share the link with you because as you create specific topics, so if your passion was about animal rights, but then you want to take it and be specific to the petting animals in school. If you want to create something passionate about that, we will have a spot where you can add your topic on the Google Doc. So if you're in that big group of animal rights and you want to change from one group to another, you know where you might be able to find this other specific group. So it's really important you have a big idea of where you're going after lunch.
And also use Twitter. That's a great way to call out. So if you use the hashtag, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Use Twitter as well. So a lot of times you're calling on any genius. So if you say, I need somebody, or I need information about this, or anybody who knows this, use the hashtag Choose2Matter and the topic. So Choose2Matter suicide, or Choose2Matter animal rights, or Choose2Matter and it captures other communities and this community. And what we did last year was we're in the hallway, or come to here if you know this, and find each other, use this amazing technology to leverage our collective genius.
Guys, it's disrespectful to talk when someone else is talking. Real quick, the following big ideas, here's where you're meeting after lunch. At 12:30, when lunch is over, if you have a topic that relates to human rights and social justice, you're going to be in the student commons. If you have a topic that you think might relate to environment, animals, or ecosystem, be in the student commons. Or if it's economics and business related, go to student commons. And if you think your topic is health and science related or education related, head to the knowledge commons. Right? Tomorrow in this building, we're going to have professionals in these areas. You want to really think this afternoon about specific ways you can focus and share your ideas with those professionals. So this afternoon is really important. We are going to come back to this room at 1:45. Right? So I will get the information on the TV screens about where you're headed, and then the people in blue shirts, the adults will help you at 1:45. We will be back in here.
And if you haven't told 5 people they matter today, that's your assignment over lunch. So enjoy lunch, enjoy each other, and we'll see you after.
Guys, good luck.
Like people who are focusing on like coping with